I once had a neighbor who was odd to say the least. He seemed normal at first. Nothing was strange about him at all. That was, at least at first. He was my age, about 20 at the time. I remember we talked a few times during the day before I started getting that unsettling feeling from him. You see, he lived across from me in the apartment building I lived in. His apartment number was E4. I remember meeting him for the first time about a year after I moved in. Until this, I honestly hadn't even known that anyone had actually lived there. I'd never seen his lights on, or see him come out or go in. Nobody ever came to the door that I was aware of. I remember the first time I saw him come out of the door, I asked if he was moving in from me, or across the street from me. He simply said, "What are you talking about? I've lived here for years." With a nice, unassuming smile. After that day, I saw him come and go, just every few days. Only gone for a few hours before he came back to his apartment. I tried to start conversation with him a few times, but he just simply replied in the same way every single time. "Sorry, I have a few important things to take care of. I'll be back out later." With the same unassumingly inviting smile. Eventually he stopped coming out altogether. I decided to knock on the door a few days after I'd stopped seeing him. I heard a tired, depressed voice coming from the other side that sounded like his. It said, "What do you need?" but seemed almost soulless and spirit broken. I replied, "Are you alright? I haven't seen you come out for a few days." It said, "Yes, I'm fine. Would you like to come in?" I felt an urgency to go in, but also an unsettling, sinking feeling that something horrific was inside. He opened the door, and the apartment actually seemed normal, aside from the slightly messier and unorganized setting of the room. I asked him if he wanted me to help him clean up the mess. He replied, "No, thank you though. This is the way it was before." And he just paused mid-sentence, staring at the ground. I saw the look on his face. It brought up something from his past that was in no way a good memory, so I didn't pressure him to finish his sentence. I changed the topic to sports, asking who his favorite team was. He was silent, still looking down. I was about to change the subject yet again, but before I could start my sentence, he asked, "Hey, have you ever been cut so deep that the wounds could never heal?" I hesitantly said, "No, I haven't." He waited a moment before saying, "I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut this visit short, but I have a few important things that I need to get back to. Please do come over again soon." I knocked on his door the next day. No answer. Same for the day after. Again, there was no answer. I did it for a week, but he never came or even responded again. I began noticing a strange, depressing music from an instrument that I didn't recognize. It came from the cracks in his apartment window. Every night at about 12 a.m. I continued trying to knock to see if he would answer. Unfortunately, he never did. I called the landlord to tell her that he hadn't come out in a few days. She hesitantly replied, "E4? No one has lived in E4 for years. Not since... She stopped mid-sentence. I urgently responded, "Since what?" in a hasty tone. She replied, "No one has lived there since the accident." "What accident?"